This is the MXtoday 2025 AUSX Supercross Championship preview show brought to you by MyPayNow. Live life at your speed. Access your pay when you want it with MyPayNow. Visit mypaynow.com.au for more. Terms and conditions, including eligibility criteria, apply. My name is Nick Still. Welcome to this special one. Alex Gobert, how are you?
Nick, doing well, thanks. Good to see you, buddy.
We got a third person on the screen.
Yeah,
Trent
I
Maher.
don't know if I like this, Nick. Trent Maher.
I don't like the hat. If that helps, the hat isn't for me.
I'm back. I've been pulled back in off the bench. He's hammering me already.
It's good to be back this weekend as we prepare for the first two rounds, the season opener of the 2025 Boost Mobile AUSX Supercross Championship at Redcliffe. You gentlemen call it the home of Supercross. I'm not sold, but Alex, one thing's for sure, we're dropping the gates this Saturday for the season opener.
Yeah, we are, Nick. It's coming into, obviously, the second straight year that will start this season there at Kayo Stadium. I feel, Nick, that it is the perfect location to kick this thing off. I think it's a really fitting venue. The double header makes it even better. And I don't know if Trent calls it the home of Supercross. It's definitely referred to as the home of Supercross in Queensland. But where are we at, Trent? I feel like you like it.
I do. I like a little bit more, I guess, country vibe to the stadium. Not as big, not as, over the top, but it's just a great way to get into the championship. I feel last year it started with a bang, literally, with a lot of riders coming together in that SX2 class. So I don't know. I like the stadium. I like how it's kind of a little bit more laid back vibe to start the first round. And then for us this year in 2025, kind of feels like we build all the way through the championship to obviously that grand final in Adelaide. So I think it is probably, I'm not going to go with the home, Alex, but it definitely, I feel like, is round one to us now. Even though we've only been there 1 year and this is year two, I feel like it's starting to become like we go to Kayo Stadium for round one, we kick off the championship there, and then we progress through the rest of the championship, starting in the Sunshine State.
I fixed the dramas from last year. You gentlemen, you're welcome. All you Supercross riders out there, you're welcome. I fixed it. So yeah, not sure if I'm sold on the home. Real quickly, before we get too much into this, the question I have for you both is, it's a 2-day format, but 2 rounds, meaning we race Saturday, we race Sunday. Do we like that? Alex, do we like that? Does it work? This will be the second year of seeing it. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it, Nick, because what usually happens, the first round traditionally comes and goes so quickly, in any given series, where with this one, it gives you that opportunity from press day into Saturday. We reset and go again on the Sunday, a little bit earlier in the schedule for that one. But I think it's just a really neat opportunity, especially when you're talking a 5-round series over the course of 4 weekends. I think to really get the momentum early, I prefer it to be on the first weekend of the season to to have that double header effect. I think it's a positive.
Trent, I often think as well for the riders, it's a bit of a reset. We've seen absolute chaos the Saturday night of last year. We were able to have that reset leading into that weekend, leading into the Sunday, where a lot of guys got to go, okay, I can reset this. How important do you think that is?
I think it is. Like, you don't have to sit on it for 7 days, right? Or in our case here, a couple of weeks until the next round. So it gives them an opportunity to go back, get a night's sleep, come back basically with a fresh start the next day. And, very, very much the same track, similar track. So you've kind of got the flow on it. You're not learning a new track in a day. I think it's good for a rider standpoint. I think they enjoy it. But it is a lot too, right? 2 days of riding back to back in race format. You know, they train during the week and do multiple days back to back, but at that race pace. And we've seen a few, wounded soldiers there on the Sunday with, pads on arms from crashing and that sort of stuff to get through. So it can work negatively, but I think in some riders' cases, and especially last year, was getting that opportunity to go, right, that was round one. We're not going to have to sit on that too long because we got to reset and go tomorrow and do this all again. So I think it's for the riders, they definitely enjoy aspects of it. But again, there's that other aspect of if you go down and you kind of nursing a little niggling injury, it's hard to turn around day two and come back and do it all again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you can lose a lot of points in one weekend though, so there's it's a double-edged sword though. Speaking with some of the riders, let's sort of talk some of the Yamaha SX1, Alex. And the first place I want to start this is, at this point, we're not going to have our defending champion of Joey Savacci racing the season. Whether we see him at Redcliffe, whether we're not sure. How do we feel about that? How do we feel about not having the defending champion, having a number one plate rotating out there in SX1?
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones. I don't know, Nick. I don't know about the way you boys feel, but to me, when I think of Dean Wilson, considering he was the 2023 champion, it almost feels, because Savacci's not coming back, at least for the full series, in my mind, there's something that's kind of just triggering as though Wilson is the champion. I don't know why. I don't know if that's something other people are sensing. But it's a real kind of an obvious shame for not to have, Joey Savacci, the defending champion. He came in last year. He won it straight away. He set the standard quite high from the outset, and obviously was a real challenger to Dean Wilson, who himself, Nick, is also in, such exceptional form at this point of his career. So I think Savacci will be missed. He's obviously focusing on World Supercross with some date clashes, or at least the one this year. Do we see him later in the year? Potentially, probably. Do we see him at Redcliffe? Not that I'm aware of. But yeah, it's a shame not to have him back. But yeah, something about it, Trent, just to me feels like Dean Wilson, for whatever reason, still feels like the champ. I don't know why.
Yeah, I can agree with that, because, he was the champ for us, last year. And again, I think it's because Savacci was the anomaly. Like, we weren't expecting him. He ended up coming and being a part of the championship, and then he took over and kind of won, and we were all like, oh yeah, but like Savacci wasn't there, Dino was the next guy. And I guess Australia's kind of adopted Dino. He's got so many nationalities. Add Australia to one of his nationalities as a part of too.
Feels like a Brayton. Similar.
Yeah, it just very much like he's just part of our Supercross championship now, which is awesome to say.
Let me ask you both this. Do you think that because we automatically put Dean Wilson as the favourite to win, is that why we think that?
I think so, but I don't know if it's warranted that. But I think you just go to the default next best guy, right? Which he was last year, was the next best guy. So it's kind of take the champ away. Who was next? Dean Wilson was next, and he just by default becomes the red plate holder gets the respect, or the defending champion should get always the respect. I think that's kind of where we're leaning to it. But again, he's won the championship. Everyone else that's in the championship this year, Nick, besides Matt Moss, has won the championship, right? So it's kind of easy to go with that.
Basically, with Boost Mobile Honda, Alex, Cedric Subaros, a.k.a. Cedric Supercross, is what we're going to name him. Obviously, that's where Yariv is sort of putting his intentions for the domestic championship here. Cedric's got a heap of talent. That might be something we're automatically sleeping on. Your thoughts on when we sort of seen that announcement with Cedric?
Yeah, I thought when it almost appeared there for some time as though Dean Wilson would be the only official Honda team rider in the field. Kyle Webster, obviously the now two-time MX of Nations winner, our Pro MX champion. He isn't racing Supercross. Wilson Todd, as we know, he's stepping back to SX2. So when I knew that the announcement was coming with Mr. Supercross, Nick, and I think it's one of them additions that really adds the flavor. All of a sudden, the conversation goes from, it's not about, okay, what Americans are they bringing in? It's about the overall, the wider imports. If you think, across the likes of Dylan Walsh and whatnot, obviously Yamaha has Phil Nicoletti and Mitchell Harrison on board there alongside Aaron Tanti. To me, it's a real international flavor, and I feel like the series probably needed it. With the domestic series has been rebuilding. The likes of Luke Clout, Tanti, into you guys like Dylan Wheels and beyond. There's that proven staple of SX1 guys, but the depth sort of comes from these internationals. So what does Cedric do? I'm not sure. If you look back to World Supercross, I think 22, 23, he was around 7th in the championship. So the capabilities are clear. How he applies that to our series will, time will tell. So I don't know. I'm definitely not against it, but I just don't know where he stands.
I really like that. Every year it's like we see what Yariv unveils, and then it's the other teams try and counter it. This year was weird. We had, at one point, Christian Craig we thought was a done deal with the Monster Energy CDR Yamaha team. That fell over at the last minute. At one point, Dylan Wills was a part of the team. But they've gone and they've picked themselves up some American talent there. Phil Nicoletti, Mitchell Harrison, alongside Aaron Tanti there. That's what you think it is, Alex? Just the case of, okay, this is what Yariv does. We need to counter it, and this is the best we can come up with at the time. Do we like that? Are we happy with that team of Monster Energy CDR Yamaha?
Yeah, I think it's Christian Craig is obviously, I think probably that was the guy that they wanted. In the end, Nick, it was kind of funny, kind of strange how it turned out that Christian Craig ended up part of the Quadlock Honda team in World Supercross in the end. But for me, I think the likes of Nicoletti and Harrison, are really interesting. Again, Nicoletti isn't new to this series altogether, new to Australian racing altogether, but he is retired from full-time competition. So where does that put him? I don't know. Mitchell Harrison has that Aaron Tanti connection, a bit of a friendship there from being overseas, previously. But Trent, from what sort of comes to mind for me with Yamaha is, although they're looking to overseas talent, it's not as though, they're straight up replacing the Aussie riders. And we'll get to the SX2 next. But I think that's kind of important to note. Jed Beaton, he's out through injury this year, unfortunately, still on the road to recovery. But the addition of Nicoletti and Harrison, while of course Wills was, appeared disappointed not to get the call up, they do come alongside Tanti. So CDR Trent with the new 2026 YZ450F, they have 3 riders in this field. So can they beat Wilson? Is that even a possibility, Trent?
I mean, that's going to be the question. We're looking for the answers. Is anyone going to beat Dean Wilson? Really, is the idea. But to me, I liked and Craig Dack was very open and honest this year by saying he was going to get himself international riders to compete in Supercross this year. And then when Jed went out, it kind of opened the opportunity. But I like the Mitchell Harrison and the Phil Nicoletti caliber of rider, where they're not bringing over the superstar that just wipes the field with everybody. They're bringing those guys that are going to build the level of everything. Are they talented? 100%. But they're not the guys that will just come over here and wipe the floor with the Aussie guys who are still trying to get this Supercross championship built back up and hadn't done it for quite a few years leading into, post-COVID. So I like that that's sort of the direction they ended up. And as you said, they didn't replace anybody. Nobody lost a ride. Dylan Wills maybe was in line and technically, I guess, missed out to a point, but nobody that should have been in that seat got kicked out to have these two riders here. So, and then again, it's two more riders to the depth, as you said, Alex, which is, I think, more important out of this, is having the depth of riders that all could compete. And we can sit here and go, man, there's so many dudes that could win this weekend. Who's it going to be? And have the excitement of going, all right, we're here waiting to see who's going to win. Not, all right, well, this is a foregone conclusion. It's, this rider, and well, now we're sort of waiting for second and third to show up. And that's kind of how it is. So I'm excited to see that. And as you said, those two guys being a part of the championship, two really different personalities too, Nick, which is always ideal when we get personalities that come with this as well.
Who's going to be the first rider to piss Nicoletti off? Should we take guesses? Anyone? Anyone?
I've got money on Wills. Be a rider.
I got money. Yeah, could be me.
Could be
I'm thinking you, Nick. I'm thinking you.
Could be me. Alex, is that enough to stop Dean Wilson?
I don't know. It's difficult to say. If I had to answer right now, I say probably not. If you look at Dean Wilson in Monster Energy Supercross, Nick, obviously he did a partial season there. He's been racing internationally. I don't know what it is with Dean Wilson. I mentioned the Justin Brayton reference earlier. It's almost as though when those types of guys get into this position in their career, it's almost like they a bit of a reset. They almost get better with age.
Yeah, like a Brayton, so to speak. And when you speak of that age, I often think of Luke Clout. This year, I think, is an emphasis on importance for Luke Clout. Motocross didn't go well. At Motocross, it was wait till Supercross, wait till Supercross, wait till Supercross. We're here. We're here now. He, at this moment, we don't think has anything locked in for next year. He's probably one of these riders like, okay, I'll go do Supercross. I'll show you what I can do. I'll build my net worth back, and we'll see where we go from there. When Luke Clout is on, Alex, he is on. But you need to be in front of these Americans, and you can't be relegated back, sorry.
I think, and I've been thinking about this a little bit, is I think if Luke Clout is going to win this championship, I think this is the year. I think he has been vocal, to a degree, about bringing this championship home to Australia. The last Aussie that we saw win this championship was, Dan Reardon in 2015. So it's been a full decade. This is the year, I think, we've seen the promise from Luke Clout time and time again. We've seen the potential. Aaron Tanti's had his share of challenging as well. Matt Moss is another one who, in recent seasons has challenged, for the title. But, on Clout, I don't know about you, Nick, but I feel like if he's going to do it, then this has to be the year.
This has to be the year. And Trent, I love this what if game. If he does go in, is that it? Is that it?
Is he right off into the sunset, Nick, you reckon?
100%. I'm all in.
I feel like you've said this about Moss before. I don't think it's it. He comes back with number one. He waves the Aussie flag around and he cashes in.
How do we feel about Moss? How do we feel?
You know what I want from Matt Moss? The expectation, the hype going into last year. I'm not, completely certain on his status. We know he's back with Empire Kawasaki. This time around, I don't know if he's been riding a lot or if he's been on the sidelines after a practice crash. I haven't
He
looked
went in
into
a
it that
helicopter.
deep.
He went in a helicopter. He had a crash. Yeah.
Yeah. So from Matt Moss, I think just putting the season together, getting the consistency there, podiums, just bringing back, kind of entering that era of his career where he's enjoying it again. Last year didn't turn out well whatsoever, but he belongs out there, Trent. I think if he can find that happy medium between one, his age, and obviously two, where he belongs in the field. I think if he can find that, then and get that consistency, the results will come.
I agree with that. I think he needs to find a balance, but I think for Matt Moss, the expectation is for him to win every time, and he says that, and he goes out there and rides that way. Like you saying, Nick, that there's been a crash and it wasn't good. That's what worried me a lot last year, and that's what we saw a lot last year was these crashes from him. And I think, and I said this last year, and I'll go back on the record, his brain is younger than his body, and his body won't allow him to do what his brain continues to think it can do. And that's why these mistakes are happening. It just, his brain is faster than his body will react. And that's in Supercross. That's the difference between a big crash and saving it. Like a Joey Savacci off the net at Wollongong last year is a brain that can keep up with the body that can keep up with the brain. Matt Moss had that big crash before that, and that was the body not quite picking up what happened before it was too late. And that, again, I saw both incidences from right in front of me, and that's what scares me is that we are talking about Matt Moss, and yes, he should be out there, but there could be a point where he has a bad enough accident he's not out there anymore because he can't find the balance yet of being the guy. And if I get proven wrong, cool, let me see that. But looking at especially last year, but even the year before that, when he was with Empire, he was a tick off that year as well. And we always are thinking back to the year he ran Brayton down to the title.
Yeah, see, like it's another one of those ones when he's
BBR.
on.
BBR.
Yeah, BBR 102. Yeah, when he's on, Trent, he is on. But it's just a case of when he has these crashes, like the dude is tough as nails.
Yeah.
And he gets up and goes again, and it claims him again. And that's what I don't want to see. But you want that person to go out there and fly the flag, fly the Aussie flag with Luke Clear. Matt Moss, there's your guy. Speaking of riders, and I really wanted to sort of look into this one a little bit more today, and I ran out of time, but Nathan Crawford. Is he riding, Alex? Is he off the bike? What's the story with Nathan Crawford?
It's difficult to say. The Trent may know more. I don't know. He's Mr. Queensland. He state champion. Trent, what's going on up there? Have we had any Nathan Crawford sightings?
I mean, he's been doing some work, but if you follow him on social media, there's definitely been a period off the motorcycle, which does worry me, okay? And yes, you can put stuff on social media to throw people off the scent, but a couple of phone calls and you find out he definitely wasn't there. He was supposed to do the last two GPs as well as a wild card, didn't show up to either of them as well. How much prep he's had in is going to be the question. And it kind of sucks because we had the same last year, right? Nick, he had the wrist injury that he got fixed, or hand injury he got fixed. Didn't come in 100%. We didn't see 100% Nathan Crawford at Supercross, which ultimately I think is the guy who needs to carry the Australian flag. He is the next guy. We just haven't seen him come in healthy enough to be a factor. And by the end, he starts getting himself around to it, but it's too late by the end. So it's worrying because, again, we could get a guy who just is there but needs a bit more time, or we could get a guy who you'll be able to know. And that's the thing with Supercross. It shows up. It shows up if you've done the work and done the time. Pretty quickly, you'll find out.
I did sort of hear whispers of an ankle or a foot injury, something along those lines. So not sure what we're going to get. But hearing you say that rider that's meant to be that person, I think personally That's Aaron Tanti. Aaron Tanti's that Aussie that's meant to be that person.
Yeah, but yes, he is, and he's done it. But he is still coming back from a pretty gnarly injury too. So I don't want to put that on Aaron Tanti just yet. And he's probably okay with it. He would probably wants that. But man, that injury was gnarly that he has come back from, and I don't want to put that pressure on him. I'd love to see him just finish this one out, get on the podium at the end there, potentially take that mantle as the guy flying the flag for the Australian contingent. But he needs to get racing back under him. He did two motocross rounds at the back end of the championship, and that's all the racing he's done in 2025. So, Gobes, I don't know if you agree with me, but I feel like that is where he needs to be, is just the guy that we expect at the end to show some speed and talent and go, right, 26, all things going sweet. Aaron Tanti is the next one up.
Yeah, that's the and to your point about Crawford, I felt like last year throughout the whole Supercross season, just underwhelming the whole way through, to the point that I had doubts about this year outdoors. Mm-hmm. And he was able to regain that form, refine that form. So we'll see where Crawford stands. And I think Tanti is in a similar boat where he's going to be racing himself back into match fitness. He's going to be looking to, he's going to want the results, but you just can't want too much too soon. So I think the best thing Aaron Tanti did was get those gate drops under his belt just as he planned. I think they went better than expected, Nick, in Pro MX for when Tanti came back. Obviously had more time since then to keep building, seems to be in good spirits. And Aaron Tanti, Nick, is probably one of those guys that when they do get back on the bike, whether it's been 4 weeks or 6 months, however long, the speed comes naturally. It's just a matter of, getting that racecraft in place, getting the position in place and everything else. And the other thing, Nick, just quickly, sorry, he does have a contract, a 2-year deal already in the bag for the CDR team. So that removes a bit of pressure from Tanti, which could help his cause.
I think that's so important to have that trajectory of where he's going, what he's doing. It's not a case of going out there, perform, trying to just secure something for next year. I think when we talk the best of the Aussies, that is where I lie with Aaron Tanti. And then it's wherever we see the rest of it fall. Another question mark for me is Dylan Walsh on the Supercross track, obviously with KTM. Thoughts on where that's going to lie, Trent?
Well, I mean, how much time has he had on? I don't know. There's been a bit of motocross in his lead up here as well. So how much Supercross time he's got under his belt. And the last time we seen him, he was, kind of floating around 250s. It's on a 450. So it's a different kettle of fish in Supercross altogether. But I think for a guy like Dylan Walsh, just having an opportunity back in Australia again and, with a team like the KTM race team, like he probably just needs to keep it together, right? And just be the guy. If anything, just beat your teammate, right? Be the best of the group and go, hey, look, I've got the talent. Probably needed a little bit more time. And this is, I'm getting a 450 at KTM, trying to learn Australian Supercross. Like, my results are here. Give me an opportunity to continue to grow and I could get better. So I think that my expectation for Walsh is to see him grow as well through the championship. I don't expect to see him come out and set the world on fire, but he's got to show up for all 5 rounds and put that orange bike up there and be a solid guy for that team.
Yeah, I'd agree. Alex
kind of came out of left field. The Walsh edition, I found it, Nick, if I'm, honest with that, I kind of felt like the addition of Walsh, I was surprised by it. Of course, he has experience in America. He's got a relationship, from what I understand, with KTM beyond, what he's doing in Australia. How does it pan out for him? Again, it's difficult to say. It could prove genius or it could prove a disaster. I just don't know what one.
It's rocks or diamonds, right?
What's a disaster?
I think if you put this group of, okay, you have Wilson, you have Clout, and you have the other Aussies, there's this pecking order that we're unclear about of, okay, where's Cedric Supercross? Where is Nicoletti? Where is Mitchell Harrison? Where is Dylan Walsh? And then, okay, you have the likes of Dylan Wills. I'm not sure. Is Joel Whiteman racing this year?
I'm not
Anybody?
sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Sure.
But you have
It's not on the rider list.
Yeah, you have these riders. Wills is a perfect example of they would like nothing more than to upstage these imports. You speak about, can a Clout challenge for the championship? How hard do you think a Tanti is going to fight these guys, to prove, or a Matt Moss to prove these are the positions on the podium and these are where we stand? So if you're on the back group of these, quote unquote factory teams, and the likes of a Dylan Wills can get it amongst you and potentially beat you along the way, I think that's when it becomes a more of a difficult season.
Well, yeah. I got another name to add to that too. A Hayden Melross, right? Another guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
would love to take that opportunity away. So if he's around those guys, Nick, there's definitely questions being asked. He got picked over them.
Yeah,
theoretically.
Yeah, and like Alex said, pretty left field type of scenario. Is there anyone else in the SX1 class that you want to talk about, Trent?
I mean, Nick, there's guys like obviously Brad West returned to Australia as well as another guy that I guess we're kind of excited to see where he slides into this. He's had quite the stint in America. He's had dabbles in Australian Supercross. It hasn't always gone smoothly, but on a 450 on his own program. Yeah, on his own program too.
Fantastic.
I'm excited for it. Let's see what Brad West can do back in Australia. He's another guy, Nick, that I guess probably needs a little bit of potential attention here on the Cowie.
I'm hearing potentially it might be a longer term thing for Brad West as well, being in Australia. So that will be interesting to see. What about Zach Watson? Absolutely incredible year of motocross. Alex, Zach Watson on the Supercross track. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think if he commits to it, obviously he does have past experience. If he can carry at least somewhat of that form that he had outdoors, carry that over to Supercross, build experience. I don't know anything official. We're hearing, is it KTM Racing Team potentially next year? So nothing official there, but that's just the word. I think for a Zach Watson, this is his time to gain further experience, keep building, keep learning, and the Triumph. Is he still on a Triumph for Supercross?
I would imagine so. If not, maybe a KTM getting him ready for that bike for next year. But I haven't really seen anything.
It was on the Triumph in China and Darwin, so pretty relatively recent, Trent. But yeah, a lot to look forward to with him.
Yeah. One, I hope it translates. Two, on the rider list that I've been provided, it says KTM. So not sure. Still with the Rising Motorsports program, it says. But at the end of the sponsor list, it says KTM and it says manufacturer by KTM. So potentially trying to get himself ready. But yeah, I'm just intrigued whether it translates over, right? Like he had such a breakout motocross season. I hope it translates into Supercross and we see some results from him that kind of shows that he's well-rounded, and we're looking at another one of these Aussie guys in the future that continue to build and, fill that spot in the KTM Racing Team program.
Yeah. 11th in the championship last year too. So not bad. A couple of guys, Brett Metcalf, potentially Whiteman. We don't know if he's back, but a bit of a shuffle there. Some incoming riders, some outgoing. So the depth, I think what we're getting at in all of this while there is a lot of unknowns coming in, the big thing we were all worried about, Nick, a few weeks ago even, was just having the depth of riders. Whether or not they're at the level of Joey Savacci, it doesn't matter. This is a level where you can look at all of these guys among the top 5, the top 10, and it's quite good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and I don't know, maybe what Trent said, I like the idea of, okay, we don't have one of those star riders that are just going to go there, blow the doors off, and make it non-entertaining.
Yep.
And I often think maybe that's what we see in SX2. We'll change lanes over to SX2 now. Shane McElrath, Quadlock Honda Racing, he will run the number 1 in SX2. It was dominant from Shane, Sugar Shane last year, but this year, the same thing. Yariev's got, I think, 5 250s out there, but we've got a couple more Americans in that class. I'm just happy, Alex, that we do have a reigning champion on the track this Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's important. A couple of things in that, Nick. I'm of two minds. So Shane McElrath, he is obviously committed to going for another SX2 World Championship with the team. We all know that they are going to clash come Gold Coast World Supercross and the Adelaide Grand Final. We know that clash is coming. I'm assuming it's going to be a bit of a game day, game type decision of where you see Shane McElrath at that point. I wouldn't have been mad, Nick, to see Shane on a 450 here. They're obviously aligning it with what he is, doing in the World Championship to try and, bring home the number 1 plate there again. But after seeing Shane on, in 450 SX in America all year long alongside Savacci, I wouldn't have minded seeing him on a 450 here in Australia. Obviously, the team strategy comes into play. But yeah, agreed. We're going to see the number 1 plate at least most of the season. Whether or not he goes all the way and turns up in Adelaide, time will tell. But yeah, like you said, Trent, like you said, Nick, sorry, and I'll swing this to you, Trent. But the rider lineup that Honda's shown up with is it's pretty immense.
Yeah, I mean, it's what Yariv sort of has been proven to do in the last, couple of years now, at least, if not more, that, he shows up with a hefty rider lineup and a very versatile one as well. Like having Shane back is cool, Nick, and I can agree having the number 1 plate is cool. He did pretty dominate the back end of the season last year. Like it started rocky, but once he got the swing of it, he kind of just, it was Shane's championship to win and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, having him back is cool, but at the same time, you take him out, this field's pretty damn stacked underneath him with a bunch of wild cards, especially a guy like Thomas Wood, who's a young kid from Australia who's grown up in
Can we call him Tiger Wood? Can we call him Tiger?
I want to, when I meet him, yeah,
Great
when
golfer.
I meet him, I'm like, can I call you Tiger? Because that's way more badass than this. But yeah, I mean, he grew up basically racing and riding in the US, right? And this is his kind of return back to Australia to race. And what can he do on a Supercross track? Like, I mean, he's only been in futures this year. Like, he's probably not at their level, but again, at home, different riders, different caliber, good start, short races, anything could be around that. And then Wilson Todd, Brody Connolly was a wild card last year, and I think he's going to be as good this year, if not better. So that's a pretty cool team.
Yeah, you got Shane McElrath, Thomas, a.k.a. Tiger Wood, Wilson Todd, Alex Larwood, Brody Connolly. Yeah. We're definitely going for that podium lockout. That is what Yariv Konski has been known to do. That's what his goal is in this. Monster Energy, Yamalube, Yamaha Racing, Lux Turner.
We don't want to move on too soon, Nick. I want to speak Connolly.
Yeah.
Just wooing up. I'm just wooing up.
Nope.
All I'm saying is, once again, you have the two teams that are potentially trying to import riders to beat the other?
Yeah, I think for me, looking back on last year, it was Sugar Shane McElrath, it was Cole Thompson, it was Brodie Connolly, the top three. Kader Maher was also there in the end in the top four. I think, and you guys can probably go either way on this. I think Connolly will probably, as he looks to transition to America full-time next year, he's also doing similar to McElrath, where he'll be racing World Supercross as well. So the momentum's going to be there on his side. I think Connolly came in last year and surprised. And then this year, he's going to really want to, I guess, bring it home, make a statement, show that he can. I think if there's one rider looking forward to McElrath being back on the 250 and being here, I think it's Brodie Connolly. Where do you stand on that, Trent? Is that realistic for that race to become tighter in 2025?
I think it does. I mean, the only thing that obviously is in Shane's favor is just experience, as a lot of it, but he is coming back from a 450 back to a 250, learning that whole thing, where Brodie's obviously still racing a 250 week in, week out in outdoors. But I think the same. Like, I think Brodie last year surprised himself as much as it surprised us. And when you talk to him, he was kind of like, I haven't got much Supercross experience and I haven't done much up until this point, and I'm just pumped to be here. Where I think that mentality now shifts from what he experienced last year. It's like, all right, without any of this prep, I was that good. Now I'm prepping. I'm going after them all, and I'm going to take everyone on, and I've got to go to America, and I've got to prove that that's an opportunity. That's why I've been given this opportunity. Is I can do both. I can't just ride outdoor. I'm not a 2-time motocross champion. I am also good at Supercross and potentially a Supercross champion.
I think that's where you hit the nail on the head. Is the expectation for him is different as you look forward. It's now a case of, oh no, I need to go do this, because in however many months we expect to see him line up in Monster Energy AMA Supercross with Quadlock Honda. This now to him is a case of, I just need to sort it out. I need to go ride with Shane. I need to go do this. I need to learn that as rough as it can get. And I think for him, it's going to be twice as good as he was last year. I think he's being one of these guys that is going to take race wins away from Shane. Brodie Connolly, I think, will be fantastic in Supercross. I think it'll be, yeah.
Let me put a hypothetical scenario to you. Like, Shane's going to have to make a decision. If he's leading both championships, World Supercross and Australian Supercross, come Adelaide, but Brodie Connolly's within a handful of points, what does Reeve do? Go, hey, Shane, you go win World Supercross because we're on the cusp anyway, and that's probably more prestigious. But having a guy like Brodie Connolly potentially on the cusp as well, you're just like, I'm taking all like disaster out of this. You go win that one, you can win this one, and I'll walk away a champ, right?
You win both. You go win both championships. Yeah. Simple as that. And there's a lot of worth and there's a lot of income that I think Reeve can gain from having a number one on the track here. And if you can lock that down for next year as well, why not?
I think Connolly. I think Connolly's going to be. He's going to pose more of a threat to McElrath in Australia than what he's going to do in World Supercross. I think you see the experience really shine through once that, on the bigger stage maybe of World Supercross. I think you see McElrath is there to effectively go head-to-head with Max Anstey for that championship again. That's obviously, I think, the big picture goal for Shane McElrath. And depending, if that doesn't go well and he's leading Australia, we see him line up in Adelaide. If he's in the frame at that point of the year for the World Championship, I think he forgoes any shot at the title here. Where Connolly falls into that, we will see.
I put the number 5 of Larwood in that same conversation. I think Larwood can, I think McElrath can have his hands full with the number 5. We've seen him get better and better throughout last year, really did peak in Supercross at the end. I think that's something we continue to see out of Larwood. We've seen it through motocross. It got better and better. Almost, if I'm Brody Connolly and I'm Alex Larwood and they moved Wilson Todd down to the 250 class, it would probably fire me up. It'd probably piss me off a little bit. And I'm going to go and I want to beat my teammate more than anyone else. I think once again, you've got 5 riders under that truck. You've seen it last year when everyone was pissed off and tried fighting each other on Friday night, on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if we see a repeat. Don't be surprised if there's some anger at that Honda Racing Australia truck.
Oh, 100%. I agree. I agree with you immensely with that because, and probably not so much Brody. I think Brody has a future ahead of him that he's looking towards, and Wilson Todd dropping down 250 is whatever to him. But I think for Alex Larwood, it is like look, you're our guy here and you've been doing great, but we're just going to bring him down here just to help boost it.
Just to be sure.
Larwood,
just to be sure.
Yeah, but Larwood go, no, get out. I'm that good. And again, he podiumed at Adelaide. So it's not like he wasn't anywhere near a podium in Supercross last year. He podiumed in Adelaide. So I'm expecting Larwood to probably have the bigger chip when it comes to Wilson Todd to go, all right, Wilbur, cool, you're coming down, but you're at the back of this group, go ride with the futures kid. As bad as that sounds, right? That's how Larwood, I think, in his head, as much as he's not an ego guy, but you could definitely see him just putting some emphasis on you're going back behind me. I'm going to be up there with the other 2 quote unquote championship contenders.
You'd agree, Alex? What's your thoughts on Wilson Todd stepping back to that 250?
Yeah, I think Wilson Todd has the potential to be even better than we expect.
Similar to Moss for me. Just continue, have that trajectory, finish, not injure yourself. That's the way I think of Wilson Todd.
Yeah, I think he's going to be solid. Where Tiger Wood is, I'm not really sure either. Who knows? Maybe he's on the golf course, Nick. But did you see in the Honda PR? I'm pretty sure Yariv, I'm assuming, wrote Tiger Woods, not Wood.
Oh no,
probably.
But,
Get the clicks.
Good job, Yariv.
Yeah,
good job.
So the SEO or the search engine's probably pretty good, but
ChatGPT.
And you mentioned this, Nick, but the likes of Lux Turner and again what Yamaha is trying to do there, bringing him in alongside Ryder Kingsford, Jace Cosford at Monster Energy, Yamalube, Yamaha Racing. Again, these teams are expanding. They're putting a lot of riders on track. They want to contend. And I think, that competitive nature that we're seeing between the red corner and the blue corner, we see it outdoors. That's really escalating indoors as well.
I think I almost put the same thing, Trent, with Lux Turner and Ryder Kingsford.
Yeah.
I think we might even have an inter-team rivalry there between those 2 guys. They want to be the better than each other. Kingsford's got a lot to prove with where he wants to be in the US. I think that could be an interesting duo to watch, is how I'm going to put that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be sleeping on Cosford either, really. Cosford has had some breakout rides at Supercross. It's been a little bit.
Is he good, though? There was the shoulder. There were some other things. That's how
the question.
Good is Cosford?
Yeah, that is the question. But, yeah, you are right. With Ryder Kingsford, this is his opportunity to stand up and put himself on the map for Supercross. He broke out this year in motocross. Not in a sense he broke out and showed that he had the speed. We knew he had the speed, but he put somewhat of a season together. And I think for him, Supercross is going to be a similar thing. He needs to put Lux Turner in the rearview mirror and consistently do that to sort of show what level he's at, because Turner had some pretty good rides in Supercross this year.
SMX for Turner. That was an awesome ending to the season for him.
Correct. Yeah. So he's a proven commodity that he has a talent in that arena. So for Kingsford, it's his opportunity to go right. That's what we hear the talk, Nick, about bringing these imports in and riders missing out on. But to me, it helps build up these guys as well. Like if we're all racing each other, where our level stays here, where now our ceiling gets higher with our local guys can see where they're at, and if not, prove that they're better and grow and learn from these imports. So, and I think, the likes of Ryder Kingsford, the likes of Alex Larwood, the likes of Brodie Connolly, this is their opportunity with the imports to show that they're young, they've got talent, and they're going to learn from these guys through the championship. Like we've seen, I guess Connolly's the staple for that last year. He learnt a lot in a 5-round series last year. These riders now have the opportunity with guys on the same machinery to go, okay, I can be that level, or how do I get to their level?
Speaking of that same machinery, when I think back to Redcliffe won last year, Alex, Noah Ferguson. Noah Ferguson was the talk of the night. Maybe we're sleeping on him a little.
Yeah, I think obviously Noah came off of, again, another rider who has some real momentum on his side. We've seen what his capabilities are in Supercross. He's kind of on that generation that I think is, really benefiting from this rebuild that the series has enjoyed under AME Group. I think it's important to note, we mentioned the imports, the riders that are coming in, and I don't think the likes, whether it's Lux Turner, whether it's Phil, whether it's Mitchell Harrison, all of these riders that are coming over to race, they are doing so with, I think, that they have an awareness that the level here is quite high. You go into any series in any part of the world, and the locals are all very good. I don't think, if you speak from a 250 standpoint, I don't think Lux Turner's coming in saying, I'm a top 10 guy in 250 SX West, who's Ryder Kingsford or any of the like. I think the only one that really has that straight up belief, because he has the runs on the board, is Shane McElrath. Beyond that, I think it's a mutual respect. So, Nick, whether it is Noah Ferguson, whether it's a Byron Dennis, also of KTM Racing Team, any of these locals that are coming into it and racing and building experience, it's a very similar boat for the likes of Turner, just needing to get gate drops in their off season, wanting to further develop, wanting to gain experience. If anything, I think that's if Australian Supercross is finding its place at this level in SX2, Trent, I think it's almost becoming a real feeder category into America. That's what Kingsford wants. That's what many of these riders want, and that's where it's heading.
Yeah, and agree with you with that. And as where I was going with my direction is that's what it is doing, and that's helping feed our riders. Again, look at where Kato Manier is now. That would have come off the ride last year and running with those guys and heat race wins and everything like that. It all stems from seeing these guys here and riding at that level and getting them seen on the world stage. So yeah, the SX2 class has definitely been feeding the American scene, even the world scene as well, a little bit, if we're being honest, with the riders out of here. So that's what this championship, as you said, in this rebuild process under the AME Group has been kind of doing, is really showcasing what Australians can do and getting some of these guys those opportunities overseas.
It's the same as I don't know if you've got on the riders list there, Jake Cannon. Is Jake Cannon entered on the riders list in front of there, Trent?
Not in the riders list that I'm looking at, no. Okay, but to say that, Shane McElrath isn't on it either. So maybe it's got a few missing.
I was under the impression that we'd see Jake Cannon back here racing Supercross alongside Campbell Williams is there with the Penrite Go 24 team. Reese Budd, another one of those riders. Reese Budd is good on a Supercross track. And Reese Budd is one of those guys that really doubled down on what they're doing in their career this year, and it needs to work for him. He's a rider I'm going to look out for. You're the whisperer, actually, Trent. You're the whisperer. What do you got on Reese Budd?
Honestly, he's been very low key, which is a good thing. The work has been going in, but he obviously had a pretty horrific, I guess, end or back end of the championship last year with getting landed on a Wollongong. That's probably one of the scariest crashes I've seen in a very long time. So he'll be trying to erase that. But as you said, he made that bold career decision here in motocross. Now it's time for Supercross. He's back on a motorcycle he feels he can be competitive at. He's got time on it now to test and get the bike set up, where motocross he sort of jumped in and was learning and testing throughout that back end. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Reese get out there and do what he can. What that is, I'm not too sure. And again, I do talk to Reese, but it is less about riding dirt bikes and more about other stuff. So I try not to ask. And at the end of the day too, Nick, what are all riders going to tell you at this point of the year? Yeah, I feel good. Bike feels good. I'm
flying at the test track.
Yeah. So you're not really getting the truth. Let's see what happens at round one. Then we can discuss where we're at. That's the idea.
I like it.
Do you want some privateers, Nick, that we probably should have also on the list here before we go?
Has anybody heard of our friends at Raceline, T-Dub, Husqvarna Racing Team? We didn't mention them in SX1. I don't think...
Well, there's not an SX1 rider for the Raceline T-Dub Husqvarna team.
I don't think Regan Duffy is doing Supercross from what I know. The word is Reed Taylor is with them. Is that right, wrong? Where are we at?
Well, again,
I'll reach out to the Reed Taylor management team and I'll let you know what I get back.
Yeah, I don't have a Reed Taylor on my riders list, but a rider that has the Raceline Husqvarna T-Dub Racing Team sponsor list after his name is Travis Olander. So
fantastic. Fairly certain he's hurt, but anyway. Maybe he's back on the bike, maybe he's not sure. Reed Taylor. That is something we heard throughout the last couple months. We've seen him there with the Club MX team in the US with motocross. Has been back in Australia riding a Husqvarna, but no official announcement, Alex? No?
Yeah, I'm looking at, about a week ago, laps on laps. So, yeah, like I said, on the Husqvarna, just checking his Instagram. So how do you think he fares? We saw him training with Club MX. We saw him do the odd race in America. If anyone has hype, Nick, I feel like it's Reed Taylor within that little circle.
Why? Tell me why.
No, it's just there. The hype's there.
No, but
hype is there.
What creates the hype?
I don't know, sir.
Is it? No. I'm not.
We can work with speed.
Why I say this is, do we automatically put that American connection to hype?
I think it is, Nick, a little bit, but there's also that Reed Taylor get a whole shot, lead laps, and the speed, like you said, Alex, is out there as well. So I think that's where the hype comes from. I don't know if it's maybe a little bit of he's been at Club MX, he's been training, he's done all that stuff. I think that's a little bit, but it's also what we've seen from him when he has raced here in Australia, that he gets good starts and he leads laps. He has the speed. So it should be better that he's been training at Club MX with those caliber. So I think that's where a little bit of the hype comes from for me. And that's kind of my take on it.
Can I request you refer to it as the MyPayNow whole shot, please?
Okay, yes.
If we could, thank you. That'd be fantastic. Thank you.
100%. MyPayNow.
For Reed Taylor, okay. There's some hype there. Sure.
It's okay.
Nick stalled.
What you're getting at, Nick, the hype's there, the potential's there, the promise there, all of the above. It's at this point, you either deliver or you don't. And hopefully this is his time, his chance to bring it together. If he doesn't, it's more of the same. And it hasn't always been his problem or fault, by the way, in the past. So,
Not at all. No.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Where you want to see the execution in, the promise. That's where we're at. I think. Yeah. Who knows?
Privateers, Trent. Any stand out to you, or riders we've sort of missed?
I've got two. One is obviously the privateer Caleb Barham. He's always got to be in and around a conversation. Been a lot of the Supercross training in Queensland gets done at his place. The other rider, Nick, that we've kind of glossed over, maybe unintentionally, but it's the 2024 SX3 champion making his SX2 debut here as a privateer of Seth Birchall. So where does he stack up in his SX2 debut?
For Birchall, I think it's a case of just getting those starts, getting those gate drops. The results will come with it, but there doesn't need to be standout rides for him. There doesn't need to be. But he's unreal on a Supercross track, so why not? But yeah, I don't expect flashy results where we're all, all for it. I think for him, it's just a case of get those results, get those gate drops, and it'll come to him in time for sure.
Yeah, I think when you kind of look at a bunch of these guys, you kind of always speak to this point of the season, and it's kind of a funny time in the sport right now. We've just had the MXGP of Australia, we've just had the Motocross of Nations. Things come at you quickly in the month of September into October. When you sit back and you listen and you pay attention to where we're at coming into AUSX and the championship ahead, I think that's kind of where the excitement comes from, is a lot of unknowns, a lot of things to be proven. And, the thing that I think, Nick, that we're going to see pretty early on is, while right now, so many things do seem up in the air, but I think pretty quickly, especially by the time we get to round 3 of the series, I think you'll really learn and understand the tempo of where everybody, is at across the SX1, SX2 categories.
Yeah, you're right. It always does take those 2 rounds. I call it the weirdo round. It's like Anaheim 1. Someone always different wins at Anaheim 1. We'll call it the same Redcliffe 1. I don't think we can answer too many questions from what we see this weekend at Kayo Stadium. But by round 3, we see those trends. We see those early signs. Yes, it is a short championship. But I agree, you do get those weirdo first round scenarios across all the classes. You'd agree with that, Trent?
Yeah, and we seen it last year. It showed up last year, right, with the ending of the SX1 on Saturday night, was epic conclusion to that final race, and then the chaos that was SX2. So it's hard to read into round 1 all the time, and Redcliffe 1 will be no different. I feel like we'll see a bit of weirdo stuff. We'll probably see some stuff that we expected, but then it's leading into the Sunday program, and then in through the rest of the championship, we'll see the trends start to develop, and really see who wants to go after this title. But it's always fun this time of year, Nick, as you said, and Alex, we sit here all the time. We get to do this and talk about all these riders and talk about everything. But at the end of the day, we're all just waiting for round 1 so that we actually have an idea of what we're going to see, and we can start building our storylines. But at this point, the unknown is the storyline, and we get to sit here and kind of bench race about what can or cannot happen.
There's always that one rider that catches fire, I want to call it, that we don't expect, whether it's in SX1, SX2, even SX3. which we'll touch on here real quickly. Alex, Kai Woods, Cade Kingsford, Hantus, Allsop. You could probably throw a few names in there that are going to be race winners throughout the season. But SX3 looks like it's going to be entertaining once again.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those ones, where Alsop, as you mentioned, he's been drafted into the official Honda Racing team alongside Kingsford. So that's, I think really positive for him. We saw, just how solid he was outdoors on the Honda. So this is it's a big break for him to have that chance, to have that opportunity. Ryder Malinowski is Monster Energy WBR Yamaha. He is coming in to the series as well. We saw what he's capable of, the young American in SMX Next over there, and what he can do. Again, just another rider who is looking to build experience, looking to get those gate drops. And I think what's kind of interesting about that, there's that connection, a bit of we're starting to see Yamaha kind of develop a bit of I guess, open discussions with Club MX and see how they can work together to develop the next generation of Supercross riders, not only from Australia, but how can we help them from America and so forth as well. So the talent in SX3 is always, as it is in MX3, it's always incredibly high. Beyond the red and the blue corners, Trent, there's just a who's who of young riders. And what I really like about it at this point of the year, and this is what we saw from Birchall last year, was it can really set the foundations for you to build your career on if you have a good season in Supercross. A Hantus, for example, he needs to make this count. And I believe a few of these kids, come 2026, they're going to have to step up to the pro categories.
Yeah, and that's what this class was designed to do. And I think it's just hit the perfect sweet spot this year where there is a lot of riders that need to be out of the class, right? So this is their final opportunity. So there's all that hanging over their head. You add the inclusion of a very highly confident Cade Kingsford off the back of a MX3 championship, and then you throw a Ryder Malinowski, who's the American, that they're all like, well, if we want to be seen on the world stage, SMX Next, he was one of the kids that had all the speed to burn. We're going to go after him. So it's like, I feel like SX3 is this perfect storm at the moment brewing that could just turn into probably the most spectacular racing, which is a good thing, Nick, because this category in motocross was actually probably the biggest snooze fest of the season. So I'm hoping that Supercross, it turns around and we get to see just this clash of all these different storylines coming together here and creating just titanic battles throughout these mains we're going to get to see throughout the season. So that's kind of what I'm hoping and picturing happening, and that's probably more me also as just the theatrics of it all, wanting to see that play out. But there is a lot of different storylines and a lot of moving parts in this SX3 category that has a lot of riders that need to do something, which in turn should turn into an epic class of racing for 2025.
I want chaos.
It could be. When you got riders riding for their lives, Nick. Could be chaos.
Redcliffe one's got a lot to live up for from last year, Alex. But this weekend it is
going to have, Nick, as well, the 85s as well. They're on track. Do we have the kids, Trent?
We have the kids. It's the KDM group 85 Futures.
SX 85 Futures, yeah. So no longer the CR22 Cup?
No Chad this year. No Chad.
So again, there's just...
I was going to ask that question, but...
Yeah, what it is, again, what AME Group is doing is from the 85s to SX3, to SX2 into SX1 and obviously beyond that internationally and whatnot. I think you've really got to commend them, Nick, on one, taking the risk that Supercross comes with as a promoter, as an organizer. Obviously, there are plenty of challenges along the way. I think it's really important as an industry, but also as fans of the sport, to really acknowledge what is ahead of us here. You hear some complaints about the imports. You hear some, the online kind of, the people have their opinions and everybody's welcome to it. But I think the big picture is Australia is very, very fortunate to have a Supercross championship of this caliber. So we're going to start the series in Redcliffe. We're going to move on to Sydney. Obviously, Marvel and the AUSX Open will be coming up in November, and then the Adelaide Grand Final. I think whether you're local, whether you have the means to travel and catch your favorite round, I think it's important that we all support the series in the right way to ensure the promoters risk pays off, the teams and everybody else, their investment and the sponsors and whatnot. I think it's really important just sometimes to sit back and acknowledge what it is here that we have, because it is very special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the emphasis on social media, and there is a lot of people that, yep, we can point out some differences, and whether it be the tracks, whether it be the amount of fans, whether it be the money, whether it be anything to do with it. The point of the fact is, yes, we have Supercross in this country. It is great. It is a great TV package. It is great live, entertainment we have there in person to support it. And I think more so this year, it's important we do that than any other year. I think there is a lot rides on it this year. So hopefully we see full stands all year. I know this weekend might be a little bit hard with the Sunday. If we could speak to Adam Bailey and maybe see if we can get like one of the big screens dedicated to Bathurst, I myself will feel better at the event. So yeah, fan attendance, I'm sure it'll be fine this weekend. Sunday, if it's a little bit quiet, hey, everyone's probably sitting there watching those cars go around the track. But I'm excited. Round 1 and 2 this weekend, SX 1, 2, 3, and the 85cc on the track, Trent. We've spoken about it. It's race week. I'm ready to drop the gates.
Yeah, as always, we sit here and we bench race, but at the end of these pods, we just both, or all three of us, sit here and look at each other and go, let's just get the racing underway, because it's all the talking's done. We've waited this long into the season to get to Supercross. Let's get it underway. Let's start with a bang and hope this thing carries through the next 5 rounds at a very elite level, and we get treated to, as you said, a spectacle in 2025 when it comes to the AUSX Supercross Championship.
Anything else you want to add to this, Alex, before we get to the weekend and get this thing happening?
Formats? What? When the gates drop this weekend, what are we looking at?
We've got our heats earlier in the night, and then we go to a 2 main event. I think it's 2 10-lap main events. So each class, I'm not too sure about SX3. They might have the traditional, but for SX2 and SX1, I believe we have 2 10-lap races to
a double header.
A double header.
Double.
Hey,
you like that, Dick?
It's a Supercross double header this weekend. So you're right. The SX3 and 85s do a 1 main. SX3 will be 12 laps, and the 85s will be 10.
Ooh, 10. Bring it. I wonder if they're are they mixing it up during the season, or this is it? I wonder.
We seen it last year. Last year it was the doubleheader, right? The two mains, the doubleheader name was at this one and Wollongong too, wasn't it, from memory? And then we had obviously the Triple Crown format in Adelaide. and Marvel had it too. So be interesting to see how they run a format. Just on this, and might be an unpopular opinion, but I want a 20-lap main at Marvel. Please and thank you.
I want 20-lap mains altogether.
Well, 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
20 minutes, 20 laps, 20. It needs to be that at Marvel. That is all. Marvel Stadium, when you have Jet and Hunter Lawrence and whoever else, because there's a laundry list of people who are supposed to be coming, but all seem to be injured now. I want to see them on a track for 20 minutes because last year we got.
Are they still going to let you on the broadcast team?
I don't know.
That comment,
I'm putting out my. Well,
you know what we're looking for, Nick. We want the sprint race. We want the full distance main event.
Yep,
that's what I'm here for. They just don't do it.
Yeah,
I want to be wined and dined.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
next.
Fun out, Nick. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Remember, guys, motoonline.com.au for the latest and MotoOnline AUS across all socials. It is going to be jam-packed. We are looking forward to it. But that is Alex Gobert. He's Trent Maher. I'm Nick Still. This has been the MXtoday 2025 AUSX Supercross Championship Preview Show, brought to you by MyPayNow.